Hello. This is a Doctor Who story. It's called The Books. So this is the Doctor Who story. It's called The Books. The TARDIS materialised in a small dark room, illuminated by a rusty old oil lantern standing on a wooden table. 3 old grey-haired people wearing cassocks sat around the table. They looked up from their meditation and stared at the blue wooden box standing in the corner of the room. The door of the TARDIS opened, and the Doctor walked boldly into the room. He scratched his head and frowned. The old man took out his pocket watch and flicked open the lid. "Oh, I'm ever so sorry," apologised the Doctor. "I seem to have arrived at the wrong place again. I was looking for the library at the end of time. I wanted to borrow a book." A balding old man wearing a red cassock stood up and smiled at the Doctor. "A feeling, for which I have no name, has taken possession of my soul. A sensation which will admit of no analysis, in which the lessons of bygone time are inadequate, and for which I fear futurity itself will offer me no key," spoke the old man. The Doctor scratched his chin. "What is the key for?" he asked. An old woman with long silver hair smiled, a toothless, wrinkled smile. "His spots are the joy of the leopard. His horns are the buffalo's pride. Be clean, for the strength of the hunter is known by the gloss of his hide." The Doctor clapped his hands together. "Oh, I know this one," he giggled. "The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling, unless I am very much mistaken. You are book people." The other old man at the table stood up and approached the Doctor. He was wearing a blue satin cassock and a pair of round metal spectacles perched on the end of the old man's nose. He scratched his bearded chin and raised his right forefinger, to which the talking robot's only response was an erratic splutter and an occasional incoherent sound. The radical generalization offered it, i.e. its existence, not as a particular object, but as a member of a general group. The Doctor folded his arms. "Asimov! How wonderful! But what happened to the real books?" he asked. The red cassocked man frowned. "The first aim of the writer is to show." He paused. "The reduction of this interval to its smallest possible dimension becomes thus, at once, an object with the reasoner." The Doctor rubbed his eyes. Edgar Allan Poe. "So, you only speak words from the books you have memorized. I get it. But that still doesn't answer my question. What happened to the books?" The blue cassocked wise man tapped the Doctor on the shoulder. "My brain parts don't include that type of curiosity. I can only act within my limitations, you know." The old woman stood up. She was wearing a long green velvet dress. She lifted up her veil and smiled. "This is the reason. In the beginning of the jungle, and none know when that was, we of the jungle walked together, having no fear of one another. In those days there was no drought, and leaves and flowers and fruit grew on the same tree," she frowned. "I talk not of killing till the time, and as to they going or not going, there is the hole in the wall." The old woman pointed to a door to the left. The man in the red cassock held out a large brass key. The Doctor took the key and unlocked the door. He stood on the threshold of a burnt-out Victorian library. Blackened timber lay crumbling on the dust-covered floor. "Ah, book burners again," he sighed. The Doctor brushed away a layer of dust on the other side of the door. "Stationery cupboard," he frowned. The red cassocked old man smiled. Ye who read are still among the living, but I who write shall have long since gone my way into the region of shadows. For indeed strange things shall happen, and secret things be known, and many centuries shall pass away, ere these memorials be seen of men. And when seen, there will be some to disbelieve, and some to doubt, and yet a few who will find much to ponder upon in the characters here graven with stylus of iron. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, mused the doctor. Well, there's a parable. The red cassocks man continued talking. The year had been a year of terror, and of feelings more intense than terror, for which there is no name upon the earth. The blue cassock man scratched his nose and smiled. Clutching her hat against the growling liberties of the wind, had man collated 2 fat volumes on the home arts back before the public library. You mean 3 books, don't you? Asked the doctor. The old man nodded. And you then memorized them, concluded the doctor. But we must tell one tale at a time, explained the old woman in the long green dress. Generations of monkeys had been scared into good behavior by the stories their elders told them. Do you still have the books? Asked the doctor. The old man in the red cassock shook his head. I had scarcely completed my work when a footstep in the hold forced me to make use of it. A man passed by my place of concealment. So, they destroyed all the books, huffed the doctor. The blue cassock monk shrugged his shoulders. All right then, I'll explain something to you, because I can see from the looks of you that you're an intelligent man. Oh, thank you very much, giggled the doctor. The old man continued talking. Toward understanding, yes. And the more I understand, William's voice grew warmer as he spoke, and his eyes were more distant. Anthony recognized it for what it was, the pleasure of speaking of what fills one's heart and mind to the exclusion of almost everything else. How clearly he remembered it. He thought that at the time he would not. Thinking back in the glare of hindsight, he found himself remembering whole sentences, virtually word for word. You know something, Bill, yawned the doctor. I could listen to you all night. The old woman closed the door of the burnt-out library. We may not stay here, she explained. Nothing was ever yet lost by silence, she sighed. It's an hour yet, and an hour yet to the rising of the moon. The doctor yawned. Perhaps I'd better be on my way. The old balding man in the red cassock smiled. Over hamlets, over hills, wherever they may be, o'er the strange woods, o'er the sea, over spirits on the wing, over every drowsy thing, and buries them up quite in a labyrinth of light. And then how deep, oh deep, is the passion of their sleep. The blue cassock man shook the doctor's hand. What are words? Every little something is useful, he paused. I am certain of that. The doctor said his farewells, unlocked the door of the TARDIS. The end.